Yo, what's up, guys? It's Benny. So, one of the craziest things on a live stream for us is when Alan Dershowitz was on talking about Jeffrey Epstein. And I was like, yo, was Jeffrey Epstein a intel asset? Like, did he work for the Mossad or CIA? Dershowitz was his lawyer, so, like, he would know. And Dershowitz was like, no way. He would never do that, right? I asked him about it. And then he said something crazy.
You were his lawyer. Alex Acosta made a pretty stunning claim as to why that plea deal went forward and why he wasn't able to get a heavier prosecution against Jeffrey Epstein, saying, I was told that Epstein belonged to Intel and to leave it alone. And this is what Acosta said before a Senate committee looking to confirm him in the first Trump term. Can you expound on that? Could you unpack that for us?
Yeah, I would be shocked if that were true. Jeffrey Epstein was not a reliable person. I can't imagine that any intelligence service would be using him, but I've heard the claim. I heard the claim that the Mossad, the Israeli intelligence agents, used him just the way they used Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Maxwell. And, you know, you never know. One thing about intelligence services, they act in secret. So you never know. But I can't imagine any thoughtful intelligence service using a guy like Jeffrey Epstein. But it's certainly possible. If so, I didn't know anything about it. In fact, once when I was in Israel writing a book, he called me. He was in France. And he said, you know, I've never been to Israel. I don't know anybody in Israel. Could I come visit you for a day? And he did. He flew his plane. And I took him on a walk in the Shuk, in the Arab area. We had lunch with some prominent Israelis, judges, etc. He asked me to put together a lunch. And then about 9 o'clock at night, he got on his plane as he left us. As far as I know, that was the only time he was ever in Israel.
This is an unbelievable, like, I just couldn't believe it when he did it. I couldn't believe it when he did this. You know, this clip went viral because, like, obviously he just admitted to setting Epstein up with the Israeli government. Bro, I don't think you know what you just said. Anyway, last known photograph of Jeffrey Epstein. This is the last known photograph. What's he wearing? An IDF shirt. Like, how do you even get shirts like this? You get it from the IDF. You get it if you're a spy. It's clearly what Jeffrey Epstein was. Now we can, like, straight up prove it. Check this out. Here's Jeffrey Epstein's fake passport. Now, how did he get a fake passport? Well, maybe he became a citizen of Austria. He did have a ton of money. You could buy citizenship in specific countries. You move enough money in, you know, it's different rules everywhere. So if you move $1 million in, or, you know, $100 million or $1 billion, you get, like, citizenship in certain nations. Maybe that's what he did. Did Jeffrey Epstein do that? Well, no, Jeffrey Epstein didn't. You know who did? Marius Robert Fortanelli. That's who. What the hell is this? So here's a Jeffrey Epstein photo. Here's this dude. He's like younger, and let's look at the date. He's born in 1954. Says he's from Saudi Arabia. Oh, really? Okay. And Mr. Marius Robert, I'm sure he looks familiar to you. Marius Robert in Austria, right? This is an Austrian passport. How do you do that? Exactly. This is like proof that he's a spy confirmed. Before people try and say this is fake, the FBI is sensibly running this. The correspondence is that it matches that in the files. Susanna Polina Luna has seen the files. Communication from FBI showed he traveled back and forth to France quite a few times with this passport. Oh, really? So how exactly does a Marius Robert Fortanelli show up inside of the passport system? It's not a fake passport. This is a real passport. So who the hell is this guy? Well, it's Jeffrey Epstein's cover. Because Jeffrey Epstein was an intel, obviously. Look at that. But it's the first time, Susanna Polina Luna put it up there. It's the first time that they've, like, kind of given all of the evidence of this. You know, here we go. Fortanelli is a surname of Eastern European Slavic origin, believed to derive from the word fortel, meaning fort or stronghold. So here is Jeffrey Epstein's stronghold, his fake ID. Look at this. This is from the Justice Department website. It's fake. No, it's not. Morons. Here it is. All the stamps. Look at that. Look at how many times he went to France. Wow. Oh, wow. Saudi Arabia. So he's from Saudi Arabia. It's this Jewish guy from Saudi Arabia. and a fake name, fake passport from Austria flying to France. How does that work exactly? It works if you're a CIA cover. Holy crap, mind blown from the Epstein files. Jeffrey Epstein's fake Austrian passport, Marius Robert, and his photo, clear as day, is issued in 1982 at Saudi Arabia as the residence. Okay? This guy had multiple identities, fake documents, diamonds, cash stashed away, full transparency. Now, uncut gems, baby. Passport, Saudi Arabia address found. Apartment. Oh, no. What could that possibly be? This is an intelligence asset. Clearly, Jeffrey Epstein gets an Austrian passport. Well, it's because it's an intelligence asset. For which intel agency? I mean, obviously the CIA, but maybe others. You know? Again, I'm like the only guy that had the guts to ask Dershowitz about this. Dershowitz is like, well, he wasn't an intelligence asset. I just set him up with Mossad. Okay. I was told Epstein belonged to intelligence and to leave it alone. Leave it alone. Yeah, this is what Alex Acosta says. Nobody's ever asked Acosta about this. Nobody's ever asked. Obviously, the drop site's done some pretty great work on this. Israeli spy stayed for weeks at a time with Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein working to do surveillance deals, state arms deals. You only do this if you're a spy. Obviously, Ghislaine Maxwell's father getting a state funeral in Israel, right? Yeah. The Epstein emails have redacted photos of Bibi Netanyahu. Obviously, Ehud Barak is in here, former Prime Minister of Israel, like begging Epstein for jobs, advice, information. He was just tied in, man. He was tied in. This is like pretty obvious. Hey, we asked Alex Jones about this. We said, what is the intel element here with Alex Jones? And he went off. It's like good to depend on people who are smarter than me on this. Alex says that, like, it's just the CIA, man. It's just a CIA cover. Here we go.
What was the CIA? What was the op? In conclusion to all of this,
Skull and Bones created CIA.
What was the op for Epstein, right? So like if we can just, what do these files prove that Epstein's purpose was to the intel agency?
His purpose, the Five Eyes, it's EU intelligence, Interpol, all of it. He was more like a switchboard operator to compromise scientists, politicians, other people, and then trade all the information to all the agencies that control them. And most of the people that came to do it knew it was an initiation. Like they were begging to come. I want to go to the party. You can trust me. I mean, most of them wanted to do it. I would say basically all. Now, lower level, he had a bunch of 16, 17, 15-year-old girls. They were recruited in New York, in Florida, and in Europe to just, they were compromising down to police chiefs and people. Oh, come to a poker party. Oh, this girl looks like she's 20. She's really 16, really 15. And so it was massive. It was absolutely massive. So it was different stratas. Epstein complains in court cases and in emails, God, I had to have sex with 10 women today. And he's in emails, like going to sex parties, going, listen, I'll come have the meeting about the money, but I'm exhausted, no sex. So that's what Ghislaine was doing, is they were just running around full time, and he was buying girls when they were 9, 10 in Serbia and in areas of Eastern Europe, who he'd fly back and train, who were then the stewardesses on the airplanes when they're 20, who would then manage the girls. So it was mainly the girls, the women that were brought up pedophilia, that would be the managers of the kids. It's all been known already. So he ran an industrial scale clearance house to turn people into spies. And people, and the money laundering and the weapons trafficking and all of that was the real issue. It was just mainly the initiation. And this is how it begins. And Teddy Gunderson exposed all this in the Finder's case. Before it was declassified partially. He explained it like 30-something years ago. He said, first it's like a 16-year-old girl. I've talked to Secret Service agents, FBI, you name it. They'll be overseas. And their boss will say, listen, we want to give you a promotion, but we want to trust you. We got a really hot hooker. Here she is. And it'd be like a 30-year-old hooker. If you have sex with her, now they can tell your wife. And about a month later, they go, here's a bag of $100,000. We want you to keep this. But we want you to have sex with this girl. She's 16. And then next is a 12-year-old. And the next take you to some deal and they go, you know, there's a kid down in that basement that's causing us a problem. It's a 10-year-old. Go in there and choke him to death. And they'll say, I'm not going to do that. They say, well, here's video of you screwing a 12-year-old last week. If you don't do it, we're gonna kill you. And so I can't tell you all the people I've interviewed, like prominent, you know, this is on record. My God, I've interviewed John DeCamp, all people that expose the Republicans doing this stuff. You know, you had the Democrats running townhouses full of like 12, 13-year-old boys, Barney Frank, and then that all came out. They got shut down. And they come to you at the end and they say, and the people that are into this, like later, we're talking about billionaires, they go, listen, sometimes they call you up and they go, I want you to come to my house and I want you to wash my dishes and mow my yard. And it might be an intelligence operative who lives in $1 million house versus some billionaire. And the billionaire has to come over and literally clean their toilets. And then sometimes that's that black eye club. It doesn't mean every time you have a black eye happen. Sometimes they're like, hey, come to this meeting. You go to a bar, you know, go to the top of a building, and they just beat you up. It's all about raw. If you read 1984 with O'Brien, which is Orwell was the head propagandist for MI6 OSS in World War II. He is Winston Smith in the book. He said this in essays before he died. He wrote the book and died a year later. Tuberculosis probably killed him up in Scotland. But he said, no, this is an allegory of my real life. And O'Brien is pulling his teeth out and torturing him. He goes, listen, I'll do whatever you say. He goes, no, when I show you 4 fingers and I say how many, I want you to see 10, 20, 30, 5, 6, whatever. I want you to see whatever I tell you. At the end, he just sees whatever he tells him. He goes, now we're going to put you in the Chestnut Cafe. And one day when you don't know, blow your head off, put you in a furnace and push you out in the atmosphere and no one will know if it ever exists. We're about trampling good people. We're the priest of power. You want to image the future, it's a boot stomping human face forever. So you ask, why do they do this? It's their religion. He named his bank accounts after Baal that you sacrifice children to. To them, it is about being evil. The destination is the journey. The journey is the destination. So for those of us that just want to go home and be nice and like are happy people and, you know, want to sit around and, you know, play a game of, you know, cards or whatever, we aren't of their world. We are not of their satanic system, so we don't understand it. And that's the blind spot in how they operate.